concentrate. I don't concentrate on what it is.
Yeah.
So I took out a bunch of pieces of music. So I was looking at my Sandy book, and the arpeggios are all at the front. Like everything's in the book, you just don't know it until you look. So I'm looking at this stuff. So I take out some tunes and I'm trying to identify arpeggios, and I couldn't. It
Mm.
just wasn't coming to me. So maybe some songs don't have arpeggios.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, I always say tunes are made of scales and
Yeah,
arpeggios.
everyone says that. Everyone says that.
They're not always complete arpeggios, right? There's usually like a note here or there that's different. Now, one way to look at that now, I taught a lesson today at 1 because Monday is my really slow day, right? So I taught one lesson today at 1, and I left my bow tightened up, and look how tight it is now. Wow, that is something. Oh my
Wait,
God.
do you ever have it wide? Like, well, maybe mine's the same.
No,
But it's the same.
mine was too tight. Like it's just significant. It's always good to remember that when you take your bow out and you tighten it up to play, 20 minutes later you better take a look at it because it can continue to tighten.
Oh,
See?
I didn't know that.
Oh, it's
Well, that's my problem. Now we know.
especially in the spring, and especially people really struggle with it when they're playing at these outdoor teaching weekends or festivals or stuff next to a lake, right? And you take your bow out and you get it to the right tension, and then 10, 15 minutes later it's really tight, and then it's hard in those environments, it's hard to get it to the right tightness without it being too tight or too loose. And that's why. And it's a couple of reasons. First of all, the stick is very thin and only has a thin coat of varnish on it. So water rushes into it, the whole thing gets bigger. See that? And it kind of pulls on the hair and makes it get tighter. The other thing is that the hair reacts, which I did not know until I talked to a violinist last summer. And he was saying it can stretch and contract up to a half a centimeter.
Well, I'm supposed to be playing with, this group of ladies I've met. We're going to be playing outside on Saturday nights in a gazebo. Like
Yeah.
that's what they do. And so I'm a little reluctant to bring my violin out there, but they've been doing it. I guess it's okay.
Oh, of course. No, no, it's awesome to play outside. I highly recommend it. But you just got to keep your eye on the ball. That's all.
Okay.
As it starts to be a little bit bouncy on you, that's probably what's going on.
Yeah, okay.
It's no big deal. But it is important to stay out of the sun with the varnish.
Yeah, for the varnish, yeah.
And I've had gigs where I had to say, no, I won't be doing that because there was no cover for me at all. You know what I mean? It was just not going to work out. And then another time I worked for Eleanor McCain, McCain Fries, that I've worked for that family a few times and they're nuts. They're nasty. They're not, I don't enjoy them. Anyway, but I get to her mansion down in Hogs Hollow, me and the guys, and it's like literally like dripping rain. Like it's not pouring, but it's dripping. And so I go to the missus, the party planner, and I can tell right away she knows what I'm going to ask and she's prepared. And I'm like, is there something that we can cover our instruments, cover our... And she goes, it's not going to rain. And it's like, it's presently raining. You know what I mean? So they managed to put some umbrellas, like kind of... It was not ideal, but anyway, there you go. Those are the dangers of playing outside. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't. It's totally fine to play outside.
Okay, so arpeggios. I
Yeah.
just thought that this might help because I got to figure out a way to learn these tunes quicker, keep them in my head.
Oh yeah,
So,
I was gonna say. So for when you're, oh yeah, I was gonna show you some arpeggios and tunes and how they're not complete arpeggios usually. Okay, so you got, for instance, just for an example, more or sorry, what do you call this tune? Tobin's favorite. Now there's several arpeggios in there. It opens up with a big D arpeggio. See that? Big D arpeggio there. That's D, F, A. And then it does that at the end. And then it does an A arpeggio. See that? E, C, A. And the reason that I get to know them is not so much by looking. Well, yes, it is by looking, because when you're looking at the music, arpeggios are always either the spaces or the lines. So, for instance, the D arpeggio, D, F, A, those are all spaces. See? And then the same with the A one, all spaces. So when I see that on the music, it kind of hints at me arpeggio. Do you see what I mean by that? The G one is all the lines. See that? Those be on the lines.
Not all of it because oh wait. So on the G well, two notes were on the line, but not the third note.
Oh, you're right. No, it's the middle of the arpeggio is all lines, and so you'd probably see that on the music for a tune, unless it's the lower one, and then it's all spaces.
Yeah. So are there any particular uh drills to go through with some songs like that are
Oh,
just
there,
arpeggios that you can like get used to playing that they are arpeggios?
my best advice is to do the arpeggios, the arpeggio inversions. Have I ever done that with you before?
Yeah, but I don't remember how we did. I don't remember how we did them.
I will show you because this is a really good way to start getting your hand used to doing these arpeggios as soon as you see them, or more specifically, as soon as you hear them. And that's the thing, you start to hear. Now, let me give you a few more examples, though, of tunes that are very arpeggiated. So, see that? That's basically a D arpeggio there. See that? And then
That's Jackie Coleman, right?
that's actually it's the Silver Spear, but the Jackie Coleman
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Uh, See that? Those are all. It's all about that whole this half of your hand or this half of your hand, right? That's when you're doing arpeggios. But so, and there's so many tunes that are, you just start to hear it pop out. But let's talk about this in arpeggio inversion thing first. You can do it in any key you want. It doesn't really matter. But G is the go-to to start.
Yeah.
Because it's simple key, and you can do the 2 octaves without having to do any weird shenanigans, right? So let me show you how it works. First of all, you know what a G arpeggio looks like. So let's just do that together. Let's play a couple of times through the G arpeggio there to start off. Okay, ready to go. Again. One more. Okay, there you go. So everybody's having no problem with the G arpeggio. And one good way to figure out arpeggios to get you ahead of the game is that one octave of the arpeggio is always going to be either the even number fingers or the odd number fingers, and this one is no different. So the lower octave is open 2 open. The next octave is 3 1 3. The next octave after that would be 2 4 whatever. You see what I mean? So it's always going to be the even numbers or the odd numbers. And so that's a good way to figure it out without actually figuring it out. A is the opposite. A starts with the odd numbers, 1 3 1, and then goes to the even numbers, open 2 open, and then would continue on with 3 whatever whatever. See that? So they all work that way, all of them. Now, let's see about these arpeggio inversions. So it's an unfortunate title because it's very, very confusing and it makes you think, what? Huh? What's that? But it's very simple. I don't do it like that. But here's the arpeggio. See that? That's 3 notes, the first, the third, the fifth. And then I back up and I make the third note the bottom of the arpeggio. See that? And then I back up and make the fifth note the bottom of the arpeggio. Keep going. Now back to normal. Back to the G. And then to B. And then to D. And then we would be back at G. Okay, so I'll explain that once more. So we got the arpeggio, which is the first, the third, and the fifth note of the scale. In this case, it's G, B, D. Okay? Now we're going to invert the arpeggio. We're going to, instead of G being the bottom note, the B is going to be the bottom note. Give the B a turn. Now we're going to invert it again. We're going to put D at the bottom of the arpeggio. And now, when we invert it again, we actually put it back to G being at the bottom. See that? And then we continue it on that way. And that's how arpeggios and inversions work. Now, I always explain it theoretically because some people think that way, theoretically. I don't ever think of it that way. I just think of doing the arpeggio and then backing up one note and starting the arpeggio there. Yeah. Yeah, that's right there, Deborah. You seem to be mouthing the right notes. Now look at my fingers while I do it, because that's really the easier way to picture it, and they all work the same way. So I'm going to go through it again, and you're going to see the pattern. Man, I was teaching young Liam there the other day. He's 11, and his mom, Sarah Louise, is a flute player, and his grandfather's a piper from Belfast, and he's a real nice young guy. And anyway, so and it's 5. I teach him at 5:30 on Thursdays, and that means that sometimes if Jen is away, like supper is kind of halfway through type of thing. So we were gonna have schnitzel because Jen was away, schnitzel and fries, homemade fries. So I got everything ready, and then I said to Jerome, at 5:15, at 5:45, I need you to turn the heat on for the oil for the schnitzel. And he said, "Yep, okay, Dad, got it." So the time comes, and I call down and I say, "Okay, Jerome, turn on the oil," and he does, and then he gets stuck into a book, right? And so the next thing you know, the fire alarms, the smoke alarms go off in my new house. And it's a 10-foot ceiling, so I can't reach it even with the broom handle. I'm like, oh my God. And I don't know, and it's never gone off before, like it did but the babysitter was here. I don't know how to turn it off. So I'm trying everything, poking at everything, and nothing works, especially since I can't reach the damn thing. And I go downstairs to the breaker and turn off the main power, still going off because it's got the battery backup. Liam was the wise guy that came down the stairs and grabbed the broom and started waving it in front of the damn fire alarm, and then it stopped going off. So now I got to call my electrician, ask him, how do you turn these damn things off? My God. It didn't work. I don't know, it didn't work. This is the dealie. And I poked everything on that thing. Nothing worked. Anyway. It's okay.
I actually had the fire department show up for that.
What's that?
The fire department has shown up at my house for that.
Oh, you know what? This was terrible. But last year in March, in our rental house, the fire alarms went off, but it detected carbon monoxide.
Oh my.
And of course, I get everybody out of the house, and we call but there's nothing on. Like, it was warm, the furnace was not on, everything was off. So I called the fire department, and they came, and they were like, "Nope, this happens with these built-in fire alarms. Sometimes in the springtime, there's a pressure change, and they go off." So I was like, okay. He said, tell your landlords to replace them. And if it happens again, call us. Didn't it happen again? Like 2 nights later. And Jerome, I tried to explain, like, the guy said it might happen again. It's no harm. Just go back to bed. And he was like, no, it's poisonous gas. I can't. So I had to call the fire department again. And this time when they came, they were pissed at me. They were totally pissed. And I said to him, like, I don't know, man, I rent the place, And he said, well, you tell your landlord that he better take care of this or they're going to be severely fined. And it was just awful experience.
Sharon and her family ended up in hospital.
Because of carbon monoxide?
Yeah. So they travel with portable carbon monoxide for the hotel. Carbon monoxide monitors, little portable ones.
Yeah. Oh, it's scary.
They have in every room in the house.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was apparently a really big deal.
Well, I didn't want to mess around, certainly, like I didn't mind calling them again, but I was really pissed at the landlords, and they never apologized. They never even referred to it. They just sent a husband over with new, Canadian Tire smoke detectors. That was it. Yeah, that was, I hated renting that house. My God, I'm so happy I don't have to rent anymore. Anyway, let me demonstrate this again. So you're going to see the pattern of my hand. It's just a very simple pattern. So we do the arpeggio, and then we back up, and then we play the last note you played, which is the B. And then you keep doing the arpeggio except from B. Back up, open D. Back up, G. Back up, B. One more, D. Now you see how that works. Now let me see if I have it written out, because I might. But it's much better to get it with the pattern of your fingers. But I do think I have it written. Yeah. That's it. And then open. That's it. Oh, whoops. Thought I wrote it out. Just let me take a look and see if I wrote it out.
I don't think I'm doing it right.
Okay, let me hear you.
Okay.
Three. Back to G. Back to B. The high G. Yeah, and then you can do one more. You can go back to D. G, and then the high B. So it would be D. Open. Open. Yep, that's it. Now you pretty well got it there. You pretty well got it. But it's all just G's and B's and D's, right? G, B, D, B, D, G, D, G, B, and then you're back to the original.
Now, how is that going to help us know them?
Because your hand will learn them. And it'll recognize right away this is a G arpeggio starting on the B. Like
it's motor learning.
Yeah, and it recognizes it, and then like I said, when you're looking at the music, now I'm going to show you some like a tune.
This sounds stupid, but I was taking my fingers off in between each note change, and you don't need to do that. I didn't realize that till I watched you.
Let's do it again together. Okay, I'm going to lead you. We're going to do it again together so you can get used to that pattern. And like I said, you do it in all different keys, and then you really start to get handy with the arpeggiations. Okay, I'll call out the letters as we go for now. Okay, ready? And G, B, D, B, D, G, dog, girl, Bob, girl, Bob, dog. It's too hard. Let's just do it by ear. I can't keep it up. I can't keep saying the letters. Especially they all sound the same. B, D, G. Like, it's really hard. Ready? G. 2, 2, open, back to 2, open, 3, open again, 3, A1, back to the 3, A1, 3, A1 again, 3, E2, A3, E2, E4. So we do this all the way up to the high B. Look at this last one. D, G, B. See that? Let's try that one. A3, ready, go. And it would be 3, 2, 4 is what we're going to do. Let's do it again. Ready? And 3, 2, 4. Yeah, and then we come back down. Now let's go through all that one more time, starting at the G. I better close the door. Hi, Jennifer. There we go. That's better. Okay, let's run through that again. Ready, go. O, 2, D, back to the 2, open, 3, open, 3, A1, back to the 3, A1, A3, A1, 3, E2, over to the 3, E2, and the 4. Okay, that went well. Now let's come back down. 4, 2, and A3. Ready? Go. 4, 2, A3. Back to the 2. A3. 1. 3 again. 1. D3. A1. D3. Open. 3 again. Open, G2, back to the D, G2, and open. That's it. That's arpeggio inversions, okay? Now that you understand how that works, let me show you in different keys. So this is the key of A. Here's D. If you want to do that. See that? Here's whatever you want. C. It's a good one to practice. Very good one to practice. You see that? Now that let's go through it one more time. This time I'm not going to call out the numbers. We're just going to do it by ear. Okay? Just remember the hand pattern. Ready? Go. Now that looked like it worked out really well. Is your hand getting to know that pattern now, Deborah?
I've always known, like the G one is always in my head.
Okay,
But
good.
it just wasn't. I'm just not connecting it. I look at the notes and it means nothing. But I think what I have to do is look for some songs and start to identify parts of arpeggios.
Now, let's do it right now. Let's pick a tune. So what tune, any tune that you're looking at, and I'll pull it up.
Tobin's favorite.
Okay, let's pull up Tobin's favorite. Very
Oh,
good.
do I know that one? I don't think I know that one.
You just played it with the arpeggios essentially.
Yeah, but I don't have it.
Let's
let's go with
Where?
what you have there then, Deborah.
Oh, I've just got all these other ones that you have here. Like there's Flowers of Edinburgh in front of me, and Miss McLeod's Reel, Spootus Carey.
Oh, perfect. They're all perfect. But we'll talk about the Flowers of Edinburgh first. Now,
Oh, that's a song I cannot play. I keep trying, I just can't do it.
really
It's just practice.
interesting. Okay, now where is this? Here it is. Flowers of Edinburgh on the session.
Well, okay, so if I look at this and I look at this is, oh, mine's by Stobie.
Gordon Stobie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. They're all the same. It's very, very similar. But let's look for the arpeggiations. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same. I
Yeah.
see an arpeggio, but not where you were pointing.
Where did you see it?
I was looking at the part with the E G B.
With this here?
Well, I wasn't. Yeah, that's one, but that's not what I was thinking of. But they're all over the place.
They're all over the place. Now you see, and the whole lines and spaces thing is the best way to spot them at a glance. So this bar here, this is a straight up G arpeggio. B, G, B, D. See
Yeah.
that? And then down she comes the scale with a little jog and keeps going down up the scale. This is a classic D major arpeggio. A, F, D, F. That sounds like a classical exercise in the key of D. Da da dee da 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 dee da. Anyway, here's more arpeggiation. So this is your classic arpeggio followed by a scale. See that? So G, B, D, up the scale we go to G. See that?
Yeah.
And then let's see
Here again.
more scales in the second part. So G to B, that jump there. That's basically an arpeggio. See
What we
that?
just did. Okay.
Just did. And then down the scale you go. F to A, same exact thing except in the key of D. And if you were the guitar player, you'd switch to a D chord there. See what I mean? So F to A, that's just notes in the D arpeggio, a little scale down, scale up, scale down. Now this here, B, E, E, G. It's a G major arpeggio there. You see, these are all on the spaces, and then it skips. And then we got more arpeggiations. Da, 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 da. That's a full-on G major arpeggio there. Little scaly, back down the scale you go. And even the endings are an arpeggio. B, G, G. See that?
Well, I wouldn't see that as an arpeggio because the notes are together. I don't see it as an arpeggio, but you're looking at just part of it.
Well,
The two notes.
That's what I mean. Everything is a partial arpeggio. Sometimes you get full-on ones, like in Tobin's favorite that I was explaining earlier. But this is a really good example because this has all the partial arpeggios that you would normally see in a tune. And I just spot them again by looking at the lines and the spaces and my hand. Like I'm in the key of G here, right? So my hand is ready to play B's and G's. I barely have to look at it. See what I mean by that? Yeah. Takes a guesswork.
So this is gonna, like, if we really learn these arpeggios the way they're meant to be learned, not this that we're going through the motions. Like when you're making us do it, I'm going through the motions. I'm doing it by ear, but I'm just doing by motions. I'm not thinking 5 notes. I'm not thinking,
I don't think you should. I think you should do it by ear, and I think you should do it by feel because that's basically the way that I do it. By the feel of your hand and by the sound, but looking at the tune, with the music it's good to be able to spot them. You know what I mean? And I think you're starting to be able to now that I've explained today because you spotted a few in this tune.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now shall we try playing this and see if your hand gets to know some of the arpeggios?
Oh, this song really kills me.
I'm interested.
Slow, please. First time around. For me, please.
Oh, I love slow, man. What's that book in praise of slow? I'm all about that. My father-in-law got that book out of my bookcase there when he was here. And he said he sat me down and he was like, "This book might be good for you, Dan, because I know that you're involved in many things, and maybe you should slow down a bit." Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna go really slow, guys, and we're gonna see if we can play this. And I want your hand to do half the work for you, hopefully. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Repeat. One more time with the B part. You seeing how that works there? Your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog out. I don't know if she was singing or if she wants to go out.
Okay.
I think she might have been singing.
Maybe she likes Scottish music. Now let's you pick a tune there, Susan.
Oh, she did. She was singing.
Oh, good.
I want to do Tofins because I was
Sure.
quite into that.
Can you send it to me?
I will. I will.
The
Okay.
one I have is labeled Toronto Repertoire Session at the bottom, but I don't know who I got that from.
Well, that would be the Cultus.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I can send it to all of you.
Oh, that'd be great because it'll be exactly the same version.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I was playing from a different version that that's why I stopped a couple times. It was different. A couple
Yeah.
of bars were different.
But you know what's good is that when you get the hang of the arpeggios, little differences in versions start to matter less because your hand can just kind of skip over. You know what I mean? Like that little.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice. I mean, we were playing at this dance on Saturday night. Oh my God, it was quite a day on Saturday. We had a gig in the afternoon at the local. until 4, and then me and Brian had to blast up to Owen Sound and do a dance, like a 3-hour dance up there, and then blast home. And on the
Oh,
way home, we came about this close to hitting a deer.
Ooh.
yeah. I was gonna say, don't pull off you know who.
Oh my God, it was frightening, man. And Brian was driving. Thank God he was on the ball because I saw the deer. It was a she, and I saw her right in front of our car. That was the first instance that I saw her. Brian must have saw her earlier. He said he saw her earlier, and he had already put on the brakes and hauled her over. Luckily, there was nobody coming, and it missed our car by like that much.
Ooh.
And then as soon as it was over, he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes, yes." And then we were driving, and I looked at him, and I was like, "Are you okay?" But that was a scrape. Oh my God! But we were playing a tune, and we both had different versions, and they sat on top of each other so nicely. And sometimes it's like that. And when you get the hang of the arpeggios, it really lends itself to that. Now, Tobin's favorite, very popular tune. You can see right off the top, it's a big D major arpeggio. You see that?
I don't have it yet.
Okay, you'll have it in a second. Let me play it while it's coming.
Okay.
You can get to know what it sounds like. Okay, lovely little tune. Very, very popular. And you can hear that it's like 3 phrases, the whole thing.
Did you get it yet?
No, I'm just looking. I'm trying to get into my
Oh,
email again.
you got it there, Dan?
I got it, yeah.
Okay.
Now
Of
I
course
can
you did. That's why you were playing.
Yeah, I hear it's here now.
Okay, good. So yeah, so lovely little tune. It's only got a few phrases because it uses the A part as an outro. So once you learn your D major arpeggio, you pretty well have Tobin's favorite. So you can see that it opens up D, F, A, D, a full-on D major arpeggio, and then it's the C, D that comes after it is kind of like an ornament almost. It's like you play the D major arpeggio with a little dippy at the end, and that's the first bar, you see. Then in the second bar, you play your A major arpeggio, full on E, C, A, and then you go back to the C and a little scale up. See that? And then we got this long F and a G, F, G, which would also basically be a roll as well. And then we do our A major arpeggio again, E, C, A. And you see I'm spotting that because they're all on the spaces. And so I know that it's an arpeggio. So they're all on the space. And then the arpeggio, it's like it finishes on the A and then just scales right down after that to the D, and you arpeggiate once again. Okay?
The question is, this is in D.
Yeah.
This is in D. So the arpeggios are going to go with the D. So like whatever we learn on the D arpeggio is what's played here. Because you keep saying never going to the A arpeggio.
Yep. Because tunes have different chords in them, right? So for instance, if I was playing the guitar, I would play the D chord for the first bar, and in the second bar, I would switch to an A chord.
Oh, so the arpeggios in the tunes don't follow all the arpeggios that we learn in
The one key, no.
Okay,
They're-
so your D arpeggios are all in spaces.
The D arpeggio, except for the top end. So the lower arpeggio, D arpeggio, they're all on spaces. Okay.
Darn, okay, awesome.
I'm gonna scare
So-
you here.
Okay, so this is actually a little easier to learn then because we're just looking for this pattern. They're all arpeggios then.
That's
like-
right. Exactly right. And that's why you look for kind of almost arpeggios. You know what I mean? There's a lot of those. Like it might have 2 notes out of the arpeggio, and then it scales or whatever. It's like that. Tunes are all made of that. Now look at the second part. Second part's really got it. So D F A. See that? Full on D major arpeggio there. D F A, and then a little scale down, and then you do these little scales. Da ba dee da ba dee. Now this here D or F D F. That's a D arpeggio. That's a partial arpeggio. See that? D or F D F. And then we got this little G F G again. A arpeggio, D arpeggio, A arpeggio, and you're out. See that?
Yeah, something happened to my screen here. Oh, there it is.
I shared it. I shared my screen so I could
Oh,
point.
that's what happened. Oh, okay, so
It
didn't
is,
catch it.
it's all right.
I'm not with it today.
Seeing how that works, eh? Like it's actually very, very simple, and it's great because it takes so much guesswork out of the whole thing. Now I'm going to download this and put it on my screen, and we're going to see if we can figure it out. See if you can let your hand figure it out. You know, we're going through that right now with Sylv. She's it's weird at school. They do spelling. They do spelling tests every week, right? And she's got a list of words she has to practice, but it's on the computer now. So it's a Google Classroom thing. So she's typing the words. And she was acing her spelling tests. And then there was one spelling test where she didn't do very well. And we realized that it was because she wasn't practicing writing them. And so for the last spelling test, not this past one, I failed to do this, but the one before that, I got her to, even though she did all the computer work, to write it out anyway, you know, to train the hand to do it. So even if your mind is wondering, how do you spell that? Your hand might know it already. And she said it worked. Actually, she got 9 out of 10 on that one. So, and she said there was a couple of words where she was trying to remember, but her hand, just from the practice, started it and then it clicked. And it's very much like that with the arpeggio work too. Like you wouldn't believe it. Like even learning by ear. So when I go down to the session and there are new tunes flying around, I try to hear the bottom of the arpeggio, and then when I hear that note, I hit it and I arpeggiate and hope. And it works out a lot. It works out a lot. Okay, anyway, so now let's see if we can kind of go through this tune and see if the hand kind of gets the idea. Okay, go nice and slow. I've already explained it, so we should be able to kind of go through it. So we start off with the D major arpeggio. Ready, to, go. A arpeggio. A arpeggio. Scale down. Arpeggiate. A1. Long F. G arpeggio, partial, and then E, D, C, D, arpeggiate. Now B part, D arpeggio all the way up. Arpeggiate. A arpeggio. Back to the A part. Okay. Take a little breather there, but you started to see what that feels like there, Deborah.
Yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah.
Oh, I think maybe I think I was already catching on because I know that there's some tunes that I've been playing that I don't know the tunes, but as long as I play it slow, I can keep up.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
Well, no, we're talking different speeds.
Well, of course, that's the same approach. See, for me, when the tunes are at full speed, it's I that's why I say there's a little bit more guesswork because I hear what I think sounds like an arpeggio. Most of the time I'm right, but I'm not always right. But it's okay because the next time around, like any little thing to hold on to, and then the next time around I usually do get it right. See what I mean?
Susan, do you find it useful?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd
I
say.
just wondering if Susan found it useful too.
Playing songs slowly, and then the next time we play it, I can close my eyes and play it. It's good.
Exactly. Perfect. That's great.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Oh, I can't. I'm not there yet. I don't think. I
No,
get in there.
Yeah,
But,
but
I
I'm
made you.
not so gifted at reading music, so I'm a 50-50.
I made you do a lot of arpeggio inversions over the years, Susan.
Yep. But now I get it. Before I kind of didn't get it when I would go home. Now I kind of get it.
Yeah, it does. It really does help. That's kind of the basis of all of it.
Oh, but I hope that this wasn't wasted time for you, Susan.
Trust me. You know what? I'm going to be 70 in a week. This is never wasted time. It's
Oh.
good for me.
Happy birthday. Well, that's why I asked you before if it was okay.
Yes, of course it's okay.
Your birthday's in a week?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Wow. Now I'm
70 years old? No way.
Yeah. And
Oh.
no. And I keep thinking, why am I still friggin' working? But never mind. Yeah.
So my thoughts were about old age. So I watched Princess Anne ride a horse.
Yeah, she's good. How old is she?
And I'm thinking, I could do that with my legs.
But she's been doing it all her life. It's like, Dan, how old were you when you picked up your first fiddle?
Well, I always tell the story. I was about 6, and my mother said, "What are you gonna play?" And I said, "The spoons." And she can't do anything with the spoons. You're gonna have to play the fiddle. And then she gave me one. And so I was about 6, I think, is what I. And I remember it. I remember the very first tune that I learned was Neil Gau's Lament for the death of his second wife.
Oh, nice.
And I still have in my mind the picture because the Neil Gau book is what we used, which I have here somewhere. And I actually haven't come across it yet, but it's got a picture of him. And well, maybe I can show you because it's first of all, it's an excellent book to have. So Neil Gau book. See if I can get here it is. Here it is. Okay.
Is this the one?
That's the one. No, not kind of, but I'll show you the cover that I looked at every day when I was a kid. See that?
Oh, yeah.
And you see these pants?
Yes.
These are exactly the same as my dad's working in the yard pants. They were wool. They were indestructible. They were red, just like this. And every time he worked endlessly in the yard, and he had these exact same pants on. And I remember thinking that we called them Dad's Neil Gau pants. But I have a memory of him with that book, and remember thinking about the pants. And he had the horn rim glasses on. And he was pointing to each note in order and showing me how to play it on the fiddle of Neil Gau's Lament.
Oh.
So, open D, and I played it, and he showed me how to do it, and I did it. And then the low B, and showed me how to put my finger down and played it. And he did that note by note. I still remember. And it was just the first phrase. Dee-da-da-ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. Just 2 bars. But he kept at it. He kept pointing and having me play it. He was very patient. I remember that. So that's about when I started, and then of course we did do classical. So we did lots of scales and arpeggios growing up.
I never heard my grandfather play the fiddle or the violin because he'd given it up because of arthritis. He just said, if it can't be perfect, I'm not going to play it. And so no one was musical in the next generation. So we would play the piano, and the only thing that anyone would ever play was my dad would come in and bomb the piano and play Blow Little Glowworm and then run away. I'm just like, it's the only thing he ever learned. So we had nothing.
My oldest brothers had no idea about the fiddle because my dad stopped playing when they started having kids. So he started the business. It was like 1956, I guess. And well, no, that's when they started the family. And he put it up in the attic, and he didn't touch it for the next 20 years. So my brother Paul said that he would once in a while pull it out and play Pop Goes the Weasel when they were little kids, then just put it back away. And it wasn't until my brother Sean, who's 6 years older than me, he started playing about the same time as me, and he started coming on strong really quick, like right away. And Dad was inspired, and he started playing again at the same time. And the next thing you know, they're going over to Scotland together, and that's them there playing at Stirling University in 1986. See that?
They started having a family. Your brothers are older, a lot older than you.
20 years between me and my oldest brother.
Okay, like me and my youngest brother. He's from another planet.
Yeah, I don't know Jimmy that well. Now, Jimmy is in charge of all the car dealerships, and he's the only one with a degree in the whole car business. My brother Chris started doing books right out of high school, never went to a day university. My brother Mark, same thing with fixed operations. And Ron was the same. He was a carpenter, but Jimmy actually has a business degree. And he's the only one. And apparently, when he came to work for my dad told him to throw the business degree in the garbage because he wouldn't be using it. He said, start building up your address book. That's what you're going to be using.
And it's funny because my dad said he wouldn't send me to university. He said women shouldn't go to school. They'll just get married, have babies. And so I showed him.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah. Well, my dad wanted him to go to school and he paid for it, but he didn't pay for us because my brother Sean screwed over the whole thing. And my sister Sandy went to 2 years of nursing university at St. FX. And in the second year, she called him to tell him he was quitting. In the afternoon, he had sent the tuition check in the morning. And so that kind of killed it for the rest of us. We had to pay for our own school. But I don't mind that. And me and Jennifer had the same experience. She had to pay for her own school. And we're going to make the kids do the same thing. Because
I had to, but I did it as an adult.
I
did mine as an adult. I did my undergrad part-time, and then I went to grad school for 6 years.
Even my medical school was only $200 a quarter.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, I worked at the bookstore. I worked at I had a couple of different jobs because I was bored stiff, but yeah, not in medical school. In medical school, I suffered because I was lazy, but in undergrad, I'm serious. I never cracked a book until I got to medical school. And then I nearly died. Never cracked a book. Who needed to? You just sit there in class and listen, it's done.
Yeah.
Undergrad was pretty easy, but going on to the other stuff, I thought I was going to die when I was doing my PhD. I really didn't think I was going to make it, but I did.
There was a guy in my class that taught me how to take notes in medical school, if you can believe it. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know." He said, he made me take notes. He sat next to me. He said, "You aren't," and I'd get ready to go for the coffee break. He goes, "Yeah, you're not leaving." So then he would make me transfer my notes into a different color ink so they would be legible. And then at nighttime, I had to transfer them into another one and then illustrate them.
You know what? I did the same. I would write them, type them, and keep typing them until I could get all chapters into one page. Yeah. So it looked like less to study. The font size would get smaller and smaller, but I did it so many times, the repetition. I actually could recite all my notes. I had a real graphic memory. I could remember dates, times, places. Can't do it anymore, but
I was just lazy. There's just no two ways about it. Lazy.
Oh, I was a really good student. I was one that sat at the front of the class and asked all the questions.
Oh, one of these?
Say about lazy people, eh? They always say that the lazy people are usually show them more intelligence because they figure out workarounds to get out of
the easy way, yeah.
Apparently, there's been a few of those people in history that are that, apparently Albert Einstein was extremely lazy.
Oh, there you go.
My dad didn't know what a coaster was until he said, "Oh, a coaster is someone like my kids who just go for the sea." Because that's what that means.
That was
When
me too. I was very happy with C.
Good
when
enough.
I was in stats class, I asked questions through the whole thing. And I remember, like, I hogged the class with questions, as you know, I always do. And so I met some people at the mall a few years later, and they said, "Oh, you were the one in the class that put their hands up." I said, "I'm so sorry." They said, "Are you kidding?" They said, "We depended on you," because they said the rest of us were too embarrassed to ask. And so we knew you were always going to ask, and you helped us get through it. So
You know what? It's an interesting you mentioned that because I was listening to a podcast today about disinformation and con men, right? Because my brother was a
yeah.
con. Did you know what the first con was? I did not know this.
Let me
In
think. Let me
Europe?
think.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it goes back to biblical time.
No, it's like it's like Victorian. Now, of
So
course,
was it like the, like Oliver Twist kind of stuff?
that type of thing. And here's how it would take place. There was this guy. He's got a name. I can't remember his name now, but they say that he was the first documented con man, right? And what he did was he had this scam. It's brilliant, and I can see my brother doing it. He would dress up really nice and somehow find these really nice clothes, right? And he kept these really nice clothes mint. And he would put them on, and he would find somebody around that looked like they were really, really rich, and he would go over and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And the rich person, would be too embarrassed to admit that they didn't know who he was. And then it would actually kind of engage in a relationship with the guy, and the guy would ask them for something. So, whatever it was. And because they were too embarrassed to admit that they didn't know who he was, they would give it to the guy. And that's where the confidence,
Oh, he played
confidence
on them.
of con man. He got this confidence, and like it's just what balls you would have to do that. But I can see my brother Patty doing that. Hey, great to see ya. Oh, wasn't it great there in the Hamptons last summer? Anyway, let's try Tobin's a couple more times, shall we? Practice our arpeggios.
You can go a little faster.
I think we'll go a little faster, yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of like this. think? Great tune, eh?
Oh, that's so much fun when you know what you're looking for in the song.
Oh, let's do one more before we go. Let's take
Okay.
one more tune.
My dog is singing up a storm. It's hilarious.
It's great. So give me another tune there, Deborah.
Oh, I don't know.
First one you
Susan, you pick one. You pick one.
Does Fanny Powers fit into that category?
absolutely any
Oh, I haven't played that in years. I need the music though. I haven't played that in
Okay.
years.
I'll get a good version here.
That's a long time.
Any Power, it's a great tune, and it does it's exactly the same.
It's one of the first ones I learned when I was learning.
It would be a very good first one because it's so simple and makes so much sense. Now, let's see, where is it in the session? Fanny Power. And it's old. It's like, I don't know, 1650, something like that.
That Kieran, what's his name?
It's
Turla.
Turla.
Turla. Rolls
Yeah.
off the tongue.
How do you say it?
Turla.
Turla?
Oh, you don't pronounce the GH?
No.
Oh, okay, Turla.
Yeah, he's Turla O'Carolan. And he was blind. He was a blind harper
Yes, that's what I heard.
and an alcoholic. So people often say he saw a double of nothing when he looked down at the strings. The poor guy.
They're so cruel.
And apparently it's just miraculous that his stuff got written down, obviously, because he was blind. He wasn't doing any writing. But apparently his son followed him around and wrote down the tunes as he composed them. And thank God that he did. Now, I'm just picking one here that's going to be kind of easy to deal with. I think
Is it in D? Is it in D or?
G.
It's a G.
Now, this one is more scaly for sure. Let me just, I'm going to send you a copy here.
Okay.
Okay, save that.
At some point, I need to figure out what our sets are. If
Yeah.
we have any sets anymore.
Sets. We have lots of tunes, but they're meant to be put into sets any way you want, really.
Yeah, I've lost whatever sets we were doing, but I guess the only thing
There's a few traditional ones we were doing. Like, I don't know, did we ever do the wedding reels?
yes, we started them, but we never we do them for a little bit and then we leave them and move on.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, let's see here. Where is it? Desktop. There. Okay, now I'm going to play it while you're looking at it as soon as it gets back from the satellite to you. There, it's off. And I can share my screen in the meantime while you're waiting. Okay, there we go. Here's Fanny Power. Now I'm going to play it while you're looking at it, and I want you to see if you recognize any arpeggiations. This one's more scaly than others, but there are still. So you can see there's not as many arpeggios, there's more scales in this tune. But the very first opening phrase, G, D, G, basically a G arpeggio with an A in there. And then we got this scale down. And then this here is scaly. That's straight up just a scaly bit. And then a scale up. Scale down. Now, this is interesting. You scale down from B. And then you scale up also from B. So that kind of forms an arpeggio there. If I took out the C and the A, that's a full-on G arpeggio. See that? And then we got E, A, scaly. That part there is an arpeggio, D to G. Okay, in the second part, it's more scales. Arpeggiate. Scale. But when you look at the scales, though, the first note is a D, and then the next note that you scale up from, like in the first bar of the second part, is a B. So those are also arpeggios, partial arpeggios. In the third bar, it's exactly the same setup, except it's E to C. So it's again the A one, or the C one. And then we got the scale. Little scales up. And then there's little scale down, arpeggiate, then you're done. See that? So it's very much the same. All tunes are put together like this. Now, some of the deep Irish ones, for instance, that I get involved with, like Ed Reevy tunes and stuff like that, they're micro arpeggios, and there are many. You know, it's not just like, you know, first phrase, second phrase. It's kind of like micro phrases, and there's many of them. So that's why it makes it harder. You got to keep your ears open with the more complicated tunes, but it still follows the same thing. So now let's play Fanny Power a couple times and see if we can get this idea under the hand. 1, 2, 3, go 2. Love that tune.
Oh, what a great song. I forgot about this one.
Oh, I love it. It's a go-to for me. It's often one I play at weddings. It's very pleasing and very familiar.
What are you doing with your bow for the set part B?
Yeah.
Starting in this that little run in the second bar that we repeat a couple times.
I slur them.
The whole 3 notes.
I think I'm just gonna check. Yeah, it's nice, eh?
It is nice.
Yeah. So I slur those 3 notes and then start the next one on the down.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And then, yeah, and like I said, it's a ubiquitous tune, this tune. Everybody plays it. The other bowing thing I'll point out, though, is is where yeah, so there's a couple of up-ups, kind of, where you want to do a 2 notes in an up bow. But, like, there's down on the very last line there, the second bar, the D to the C, that should be on an up bow. That type of thing. Just to make it smooth. I tend to do this kind of with waltzes like that, with those Irish waltzes. I tend to do kind of a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2. You know, that type of pattern. With a waltz, you have to figure out what kind of beat pattern you're going to do. I find that there's 3 different kinds, and you know, I played up in Owen Sound there on Saturday, and we played 2 waltzes, and I noticed that they were very much the downbeat kind of people. So there's three kind of feels for a waltz. There's the downbeat, which is a lot I find in Ontario. It's kind of pretty ubiquitous. The downbeat, so it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In other places, it's the 3 and the 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. See that? And so the 3 almost gets more emphasis. And it's really nice because it's the up before the down. See what I mean? And to bring it out is nice. And then there's the Viennese waltzes.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people feel waltzes that way. And that's where the beat is on the 2. So T O T 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And you wouldn't believe how many people I see. And I notice it when they start to waltz and they start to turn. That's when I notice what they go for. So if they start their turn on the 1, or if they push their turn halfway through, or if they spend the whole time getting ready for the next turn. That's how you feel it out with them. And so a lot of the time I find I'm just doing all 3 beats with my foot. Ding, da, da, ding, da, 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 ding, to cover everybody. But I find the downbeat one is the most popular.
So I'm wondering if the next week, unless Susan has an idea, if we could get back to learning about the jigs with the 2 bows, you know,
Yeah.
down, up, up, down, up.
Yeah.
If Susan's okay with it, then we don't need to do that.
No, I have whatever happens, it happens. It's a good thing.
Yeah, Susan really likes to improve technique anyway.
Yeah, it's
So
always
you're okay if we did that?
Sure.
Oh, you
Do
know,
you want to do something?
Huh?
It's your turn next time.
No. I gave 2 tunes tonight.
I also
But in terms of technique.
have an idea. So tonight we worked with the G major arpeggio inversions, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think next week we should do A,
Okay.
and we should do the same exercise except pick different key, different look, because you know the different keys have different looks when you're
Okay.
Yes.
going through. So we'll do the same thing next week. We'll do in a different key, but we'll stick to jigs so that we can talk about that whole bowing technique for jigs. That's
And
it.
what are your favorite A jigs that would fit with this?
Oh, very good question. Let's see. How about a Stan Chapman's?
Oh yeah, okay.
One, but I would love to learn it.
Oh, you'll learn it in a second, and it's really good for this arpeggio.
So Stan Chapman, are you
And
going to send us some music then, or
I have it. Yeah, it's in Jerry's book, but I have it. No problem.
Jerry's book?
Yeah, yellow book. But I'll send it to you because I have it scanned. And let's see, one other jig that would be good for this for A.
What about John Allen's jig? Is that also?
Yes, that's
You
a
know-
perfect example.
heard
Okay.
you playing it. I saw you playing it on because I did something and your thing comes up on YouTube. And I thought, okay, I'll listen to it. And then I did, I used to know that song. So I got it out and I practically know that one. I learned that one years ago.
Okay.
Perfect. So let's work with those two. I'll send them to you now.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that's Stan Chapman's and John Allen's. And in the meantime, you guys are going to figure out how to do these arpeggio inversions in the key of A. Now, since we're recording, I'm going to play them now so you can. And it's on my YouTube channel, eh? All these inversions, I think there's like 3 or 4 keys that I do on my YouTube channel, so you can look for them. But check this. Here's the A major arpeggio. Oh, terrible. Here's the arpeggio inversions. And here's the arpeggio inversions with jig rhythm. See that? I make a lot of people do that. And I'm going to make you guys do it too. Okay, that was a great idea, Deborah. That was so good. What a great workout. And I think it'd be great to do it in a different key next time. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, that was great.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, bye.